Welcome back to another episode of The Scoop Around the Loop. This is going to be kind of a gloomy one for Andrew and Tyler. They seem really upset about the way the Iowa State basketball game went, but I hope the rest of your guys' weeks have gone well.
Thanks for introing that, Thomas. I would say that personally, you have misjudged my mood. All considered, that was a pretty good effort by Iowa State. I was pretty impressed by what they're able to muster up there.
Okay, and it's not the end of the season.
No.
So,
but as long as we, I think in the grand scheme of things, TJ Altzberger is the head coach of Iowa State men's basketball. So
things are looking up.
Yeah,
things are looking up.
Pretty happy about Iowa State basketball.
I haven't been doing a very good job of keeping up with Iowa basketball this year, but I'm starting to get a little worried that if they win today, have they even played yet?
Fran.
No, you guys get Fran for another year if they win today. Jokes on you, Tommy.
Yeah, I really hope.
You guys want to talk about some local high school basketball really quick? Because I think for three of us, there's a pretty big game tomorrow.
West Des Moines Valley.
Yeah, what Valley versus Waukee Northwest play in the state championship game. This is the fifth time out of the last 6 years that the championship game has been all CIML. Valley High School has won the last two state championships. So they're going for the three-peat today. And this year they lost arguably one of their best players. He transferred. And they are still right back where they were last year.
Is there any future college players between both of those teams?
Yeah, Trevin Jarek for Valley is going to UNI.
He's going to your school, Tommy.
Heck yeah, okay.
I'm a UNI fan, but anyways.
And I don't keep up on recruiting.
Kiki Dang from Valley, he should be going to play college basketball somewhere. I don't know where, but then there's a couple big-time football athletes on Valley as well.
I remember it was like, I don't know, 10 years ago. Valley had a pretty good team, and behind the starter there was some stud forwards, but Peter Jock was the starter, so no one behind Peter Jock was going to play.
Here he goes out in front of this. I suck at basketball. But my family thinks I was really good.
Your sisters and your parents thought you were pretty good.
Yeah,
Tyler,
it's pretty impressive that Valley has been able to put together what they've put together recently without having, again, they have Jarek, or however he says last name, that's going to UNI, and he's a stud, but when I was at Valley, we had Mr. Gatorade Player of the Year, Mr. Iowa basketball, and he averaged 24 a game. And I think in total there was like 9 college athletes on the team, like 5 or 6 college basketball players on the team.
Yeah, Roy Marble's kid was on the team, and he hardly played.
Yeah, so the fact that they've been able to dominate with this talent as opposed to what they've had. And my junior year, we had Cale Abrahamson too, and he played at Northwestern. So there's 2 Big Ten starters, Big Ten, like big-time scorers that played on the same team, and they weren't able to get this.
You guys had quite a few kids that ended up going to play like football and other stuff too, didn't you?
Yeah. Yep. But anywho, so yeah, shout out to Valley and Coach Windhorst for doing the thing the past several years, and they won a state championship in like 2016 too, I think, or something like that.
Before we're done talking about your career, though, Tyler, you did once refer to yourself as the rec league Kevin Durant. So
that stands. And in organized basketball, though, I suck. But like, yeah, good. You can ask anybody on that. I think people.
Okay, thanks. Let's get to talking about something Brady is passionate about. Brady, you want to talk about the opening of Hawaiian Bros?
Yes. So this is my favorite restaurant. So for baseball, we would travel a lot to like Kansas City, Overland Park, a couple tournaments in St. Louis, and there would always be a Hawaiian Bros. We tried it. And then for dinner and lunch every single time we were there. I ate there, so it quickly became a favorite. They have different like Hawaiian style proteins. There's like luau pig, and then a bunch of different chicken that you can choose from. Some white rice, mac salad, and then you can get like grilled vegetables or something else on the side. And they have a really good pineapple barbecue sauce that they give you, as well as a teriyaki sauce. But I went 2 days ago. It was phenomenal. Just how I remember it. I think it's going to be a huge hit in Waukee, and the opening and the grand opening were wrapped around the building, almost into the parking lot of Smoothie King was the line. So it was definitely busy.
You said the traffic's already kind of died down. Like if you go through the drive-thru, you could get in and out pretty quick though now, right?
Yeah, the drive-thru's been good. When I went, it's just sometimes like if you go like at a weekend night for the next probably month or two, it's gonna be busy. But if you're like during the day just grabbing lunch, like on a Wednesday, you'll be fine.
Prices look decent too. Is this correct that a plate for lunch is just $12?
Yes. That's a regular plate. If you get a large plate, then it goes up a little bit. But a regular is plenty. If you're getting a large, you'll feel it after. But it's worth it.
Andrew, how's your lighting?
Well, this light just went off. There we go.
Okay. So when is the rest of the team going to go check this place out?
I'm going to go soon. This is my style. This is my favorite type of.
I love a good fast casual type place where you could get in and out quick, but get decent food.
Like Bandit Burrito. I'm Rohe in Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just Chipotle, but it's a little bit like fresher ingredients and stuff, in my opinion.
I'm still a Poncheros guy.
I like Poncheros a lot. Any place like this I really, really enjoy. So I'll definitely be there. And yeah, I agree with the prices. That looks pretty good to me. I had Protein House yesterday because I got a real good workout in and we need to go to the grocery store. So I ordered a little plate from Protein House and it was like $24, $23. And I didn't get any extras. It was just like a steak protein bowl.
Well, even some of the fast food places lately, I mean, McDonald's is no longer cheap. None of those places are cheap anymore. Like they're starting to get, I mean, you could get a cheaper meal at Chili's than you can at McDonald's.
Chili's.
Yeah. Shout out Chili's.
Speaking
of, you never been to Chili's?
No, I haven't. I just see the triple dippers on my TikTok and Instagram everywhere.
That was the most 19-year-old thing you could say.
There's triple dippers everywhere.
No, I'm saying that you've never been to Chili's.
Let's go around the horn really quick. Rest in peace to that show. And let's talk about a favorite restaurant that we have that's in the Des Moines area, but that's out of your way and you make time to go to it. Does anyone have one that comes? I can start if you guys want. I think mine is Charlotte's Kitchen. I think Charlotte's Kitchen, as far as fast food places, has the best chicken sandwich in the area. And if I am ever showing a house in Johnston or the Merle Hay neighborhood, I am pretty much always picking that up on the way home, and that's what we're having for dinner.
You never thought about stopping by Tyler's house because he lives right there.
Yeah, Tyler says he know where I live. That's a crazy thing.
Well, when I try to send you wedding invites, it just gets returned to sender. So I don't even believe that you live there. So, but yeah, it just
no. Tyler intercepted at the mailbox and said, "This guy won't let me speak at his wedding. Send it back."
I'd rather have Tyler speak than you. So,
hey,
Tyler, you got a place that you always make time to go to that's not necessarily in your neighborhood,
restaurant or fast food?
Either or.
What, for the sake of the conversation, I'll say what you smoking in Luther.
Okay.
That's pretty out of the way. But a couple times a year during football season, I like to make that pit stop before Iowa State football game. You know, on a nice breezy fall day, sit outside, eat some barbecue, have a couple beers. It's always it's a little bit out of the way. You kind of like end up south of Boone, going there, and then you have to work back towards Ames, but it's north of here, so in a way.
It's well worth it, though?
Yep.
I've heard nothing but good things about that place, and I still have not made the venture.
I saw someone on like the most well-known like restaurant review page on Facebook kind of like shit on it
I
the
saw
other
that.
day, but then everyone got on them in the comments. So
Those are you talking about the Des Moines places, Des Moines food reviews?
yeah.
Yeah. Those places seem to get only traffic on negative reviews, but it's just because of the comments of people correcting them and
And
saying
like what she ordered some like weird concoction. I'm like, you're at a barbecue place. You better just order yourself the 2 meat platter, get a couple sides. You know, like that's what a barbecue place is for. You don't
Was
need
it
to
the
go.
poutine?
Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like just go there and order brisket and pulled pork and cheesy potatoes and jalapeno cream corn, and you'll love it. Delicious.
Okay. Andrew, you got a place?
You know, with a family of 5, Hickory Park's a good place to go to in Ames. It's still super affordable. As we've talked about, I'm centrally located where I live. Our go-to place is Hidalgo Mexican in Urbandale, which might be out of the way for some, but
Yeah,
I
I
would
make it sound like Charlotte's Kitchen is so far away. It's only a 15-minute drive, but there's places much closer to me.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
blessed that's out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, for Mexican, for you, Tommy, Hidalgo might be out of the way.
I should
me,
check it out though.
I think it's the greatest Mexican restaurant in Des Moines. You order a margarita, they bring you a shot of tequila every single time, a little bit later. And they just treat you right. But yeah, I would say Hickory Park is probably, as cliche as that sounds, when you've got a family of 5 and a boy that likes to eat, Hickory Park's the spot if you don't want to spend a ton of money. And, you know, I'm not saying it's the best food in the world, but it's good. It's an experience.
Brady, you got a place?
Yeah, Tyler stole mine. I was going to say, what you smoking?
Oh,
The Philly cheesesteak from that place is phenomenal. Some
Okay.
coleslaw inside.
I the other one I was gonna say, but it shouldn't. It's kind of funny that it's out of the way for me is Barntown because it's right next door to where they're sitting right now. But from my house, Barntown. But that's probably like my favorite local restaurant. I love, and not even like they have good beer, but their food is really really good there too.
Mm,
Okay.
for sure.
I still stand on what you're smoking.
Let's get into we got a listing going live tomorrow. Andrew and Tyler are listing 913 Southeast Meadowlark Drive in Grimes. You guys want to talk about this place, and do you guys have a price for it yet, or are we not even saying that yet?
Yeah, this is 913 Southeast Meadowlark Drive, like Thomas just said. That's west of 141 and south of like First Street in Grimes. The photos shown here are old. It looks much brighter on the inside. This is going to be listed at 330, 329.9. And I think that fits like perfectly within the comps. It's a 2-story house with a finished basement and has a bedroom down in the basement. Pretty much all of the basement is finished. There's not like a huge storage room or anything. So there is a decent amount of square footage throughout the house. They've done a handful of things throughout the place, just kind of freshen it up a little bit. Love the house. Love the neighborhood. You see in that picture there's a shed out back that's kind of like a bar. That it doesn't have power to it, but they run like power to it with like an extension cord. So really cool spot, lots of entertaining space, good location right off of 141, like I said. So yeah, be on the lookout.
It looks like the previous owners did a lot of stuff to it before they sold as well too, so it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, yep. And the cleaners were over there this morning. I guess just a second to highlight some of the stuff that we do to help people get their house ready to sell. We sent cleaners over there this morning, so they're doing a deep clean there. About a week ago, we called to have a dumpster dropped off at their house because they just wanted to get rid of a bunch of stuff and purge things, just get it out of there. So they've been dumping stuff in there for the past week or so. And then after this, we are going over there to take photos and videos.
Sweet.
So,
Andrew, anything stand out to you about looking at the place?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a typical 2-story, so I think it's a good home in that sense. I think the bar or the shed is the most intriguing part. If I were looking to buy a house, just the extra space outside. Like Tyler said, there's no power to it, but you can still have quite the party right there. Extension cords, or if you're so inclined, you could run power to it and truly have kind of a outdoor oasis, so to speak, like making that shed like a bar. It's kind of like
Yeah.
It's a dream I have of my house, is making like a pub in my backyard. A place to hang out. So
and that's what they like to do. They like to entertain people back there. And one other thing to add, backing to the house, the backyard's fully fenced in, but backing to the house, there's a walking path that can lead you closer to like 141, but it would also eventually lead you to like downtown, old town Dallas Center, or not Dallas Center, Old Town Grimes, that like main street that they have there.
That is a dream of mine, is to have a house that backs up directly to a path. So
Yeah,
I might be putting an offer in.
Tommy, let's make it happen. It's also right around the corner from a friend of the program, Marquis Thompson's house.
Heck yeah.
So good people live in the neighborhood, or at least one good person lives in the neighborhood.
One good person
and his wife. 1.5 good people.
All right, we're flying through segments today, but let's just get to this other one because it might take up a lot of time. I thought it would be fun to talk about real estate myths that we hear all the time that we want buyers and sellers to kind of know aren't true. So Brady, did you want to start with one that you've already been hearing a ton?
Yeah, so something I hear a lot, especially with people more like my age, where and even like siblings of people my age, where they're starting to get out of college and they're asking, how much do I need down? A lot of people will just tell them, oh, you need 20% down. And that's not true, but getting 20% down will help you avoid PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, which just helps protect the banks if you default on payments or anything like that. But you do not need 20% down. You can qualify for 5% down through the Iowa Finance Authority if you're a first-time home buyer, so that can help you a little bit. But just based off the different loans, there's all different levels you can go down to. So
yeah,
do not need 20%.
Yeah, and that
for someone coming out of college, no matter what the price of the home is.
And if you
unsaved.
Yeah, and if you really want to finance the heck out of it, so to speak, too, that IFA can be, that 5% can be used to cover part of your closing costs as well, too. So I don't recommend it because you want to put yourself in a strong equity position, but some of those people that do that literally get cash at closing. Like they don't even have to bring anything. So yeah, there are ways that you can get qualified for that. Conventional loan, 5% down. Andrew, Tyler, I could get your opinions on this, but I mean, do you think the 20% down is kind of a rule because it makes a lot of financial sense? Do you think someone buying their second home should make that a goal to finally be able to put 20% down?
I mean, I'll go first. I think why you want 20% down or more is because obviously it gets rid of PMI. However, if you look at it, PMI as just kind of interest on the money that you didn't put down, and then turning around and using that. So let's say the bank just says put 5% down. Obviously, your monthly payment's going to be more than if you put 20% down. But it depends on what your long-term goals are. If you're like, this is going to be my second home, but it's not going to be my last home. If there's things that you can do to improve your house, that might require capital or cash. I would rather put 5% down, put whatever the the bank is requiring you to do, and then save that money to improve your house. And so, getting a lower payment's fine and great and all that stuff. But if your plan's only to be there for 3 to 5 years, I would take that extra, that 15%, so to speak. It could be, it could be $45,000 or more, and improve your house, whether that's finishing your basement, new carpet, in the case we were just talking about Meadowlark, adding an entertainment space in the backyard, things like that would have value to your house later, instead of just trying to pay down your principal. You can actually sell your house for more if you take that money and put it towards improving the house. Again, so it just kind of depends on your motivation.
And if you do, you might have mentioned this, I was spacing out for a second. And if you do those improvements and then call an appraiser out right away,
you might drop the PMI anyways, right?
Yeah, because they say, okay, now your house is worth 15% more than it was before, and you have enough equity to just drop the PMI. So, Tyler, do you have any extra opinions on that?
No, not really anything extra. I would just say it kind of just comes back to the borrower, because I found that no matter how much we harp that you don't necessarily need 20% down and that things can still make sense if you don't put 20% down, sometimes that's just what it takes for buyers to be comfortable. I think with buying things, I'm finding with, especially like people my age that are like late 20s, early 30s, where they've had a little bit of time to save up some money from their grown person job, and they're just now getting into home ownership when they probably could have a couple years ago. But again, the reason being just from a comfort level. Again, whether your opinion on it is whether there is reason for them to be uncomfortable with a low down payment or not, sometimes that's just what it takes. So if that's you and it's just a matter of like feeling comfortable and confident, and that more of a down payment makes you feel that way, then great, save up for that. But for what it's worth, I've saved up for a 20% down payment once on a rental property. But of the other houses I've bought, I've never even thought about coming close to putting 20% down. So,
well, I think you also, in that situation too, you have to be realistic about how long it's going to take you to save up that down payment.
Yeah.
And just kind of look at what you're missing out if you're waiting to get to that, and kind of take an honest assessment on that as well too. Andrew, do you have a myth or a misunderstanding that you hear all the time that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think one of the best advice that I ever heard, or best thing ever said, as far as like offering on a property, is that sometimes our brother-in-law Brett said this, I remember, but he said, sometimes the best price is the price someone's asking for it. And I think, as a seller, obviously you want to get the most you can for a house, and as a buyer, you want to get it for as cheap as you can. And I think sometimes the desire is to meet in the middle. And I think a buyer's inclination is to offer low, because you can't get a house for $290 if you offer $295. So offer $285. But one of the myths I've heard a little bit is the good asking price, or the good offer price, is 10% lower than what the list price is. So if the list price is $300, you offer that, so 10% of that's $300, so you offer $270. And obviously, as we've talked about and chronicled over the last few weeks, a lot of the times the ultimate sale price is within 1% to 2% of the list price. And so I think that's the biggest myth, is like you have to offer low in order to move the needle. In fact, what we find is when you offer too low, you actually irritate and piss off a seller that might otherwise be super willing to do some things for you. So
yeah, and we talked about this a little bit last week too, but like before offering, you need to get a really good feel for what kind of position the seller is in. Look at how many days it's been on market, and then have your buyer's agent give you an honest opinion of what the list price is. Because in some situations, I've had buyers walk through a home and then I did comps on it, and I could have justified that the house should be selling for $30,000 more than what they listed it at. And it's just like, let's be the quickest ones to offer, and let's get it at what it's listed at and just get this locked up, because this is a deal. And then other situations, I've walked through a home and it's been on the market for 45 days and they have it X amount over listed, then I start talking to them about, okay, let's see what we can negotiate this down to. What's a realistic goal? Okay, you want to get it at this, let's offer this, and kind of see what they counter back at, Tyler, what do you think?
About my own a myth or interest.
Yeah. You got a myth?
Yeah, I got a myth. As it relates to like today's higher interest rates or perceived higher interest rates compared to where they were just a couple years ago, I think a lot of people think going into a bigger house or a different house is going to cost them more month to month, which is probably true on the house front. But what a lot of people don't realize, especially if they bought a house at the beginning or before the craziness of COVID and the real estate market that came along with it, they have a lot of equity in their house. And one thing that I've been seeing a lot of people do is sell their house, and with the equity that they have, obviously they have money for a down payment, but not putting all of it towards a down payment and then going and paying off other debts, so that yes, your house payment might be a little bit higher, but your overall monthly debt obligation is lower because you paid off car notes, or you paid off your student loan debts or your credit card debts and things like that. So I would say the myth is because interest rates are much higher than they were 2, 3, 4 years ago, that you are going to be paying much more per month for expenses if you were to move now, which I don't think necessarily always the case. I think there's a lot of times where you can use that equity in your current house to give you to not only give you a down payment for the next house, but to also pay off existing debt. So maybe you're just only worried about your higher mortgage payment amount.
Yeah.
Other stuff too.
And I think too, the other thing, like in that situation you're talking about too, your car loan and your credit card debt is still more than likely going to be a higher interest rate than your new mortgage that you're getting too. So that's much better.
Yeah, certainly
debt.
Your credit card debt.
Yeah, it's much better debt to get rid of, and kind of put yourself in a better monthly budget situation. So I think that's a really good tip.
Yeah, and the thing about like a car note too, like you could have started off with like a $40,000 car note and then paid it all the way down to $6,000 to $5,000, but your monthly payment is still $700 no matter how much you've paid down. You know what I mean? So just going in to pay off the extra $5,000, yeah, I think that's a pretty powerful tool to just get debt off your books. And that might, if the monthly payment is super affordable and that's not as much, and you can go up in house doing that, your lender may approve you for a bigger house, if you just pay off these certain debts before closing on your next place.
Yeah.
Like that, so
I got one that I think came up the other day that I think is always interesting to hear how many people get this mixed up. But your appraisal, your assessment, and the market value of your home are 3 completely different things.
Yeah, and the inspection I would add in there. A lot of people think the inspection is like intertwined with those things as well.
Yeah, and your appraisal is something that the bank will have done for you when you're purchasing a home, because when the bank is putting a loan on a house, they want to be ensured that the house is worth what you're paying for it, because in an unfortunate circumstance where they have to take the home back from you because you're not paying your mortgage, they want to be ensured that they can sell it for what you paid or close to, so they get their money back on the loan. The market value is normally very, very close to the appraisal value, but it is a different thing. Market value is what the home is ultimately worth, what someone is willing to pay for it. And then your assessment is what the county is saying it is worth for the purposes of your property tax. So for example, I just had a new homeowner text me the other day asking when the assessor is going to come look at their home to adjust the value. And I'm like, in pretty much all cases, they're not going to do that. It's just an automatic formula based off of sales from the last year, and they kind of adjust it. They will adjust assessments if you pull a permit to add something, but it's literally just kind of an automatic tool to decide what your property taxes are going to be. And on that note, if you are looking to potentially purchase a home and you're trying to decide what that home's value is, using the county's assessment value is honestly really not going to help you out that much. So that
that part's just going to piss you off.
Yeah. Well, and then honestly, a lot of the times too, looking at what the past homeowner paid for it is going to upset you a lot too. I know we mentioned using that as a tool before too, but like in some cases, you truly don't know. I mean, you could get kind of a good idea of what they did since they purchased it and decide if that's worth it. But it's kind of some tricky math to do, especially if the homeowner has been in there for 15 or 20 years. Using what they paid for it 15 or 20 years ago is not really going to help you out a ton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I always try to remind people that like, that's just how real estate works. Like, you can't be mad at someone for gaining a bunch of equity in their house. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's lucky. Sometimes they got a really, really good deal on the front end. Again, like you were talking about, you have no idea what went into that deal. Maybe they did just come in at the right time when they bought it and did get lucky.
Maybe they bought it from a family member too. I mean, like there's some ways you can figure that out.
Yeah, like there's boom and bust periods. There's more boom than bust periods in real estate, but there's boom and bust periods in real estate, and that person just seemed to have been in it at the perfect time. And so hopefully that trend continues for you.
Can I talk about one more that always kind of annoys me?
No.
It always kind of annoys me when people, and this is always older people, but they say that homes aren't built like they used to be.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of the term survivorship bias?
Yeah. But homes also used to use concrete block foundations, so they're right.
Right.
Yeah, but they forget that part when they talk. So that, obviously they say that part to insinuate that homes were better built back in the day, but foundations on almost every old home you always have to look at.
Yeah.
Built and I mean, like,
differently.
Beaverdale, like half of the sewer system is wooden.
Yeah. Well, and the only real argument that they have is that the quality of timber back then used to be better.
The 2x4 was bigger back then than the 2x4 is now. It's not literally 2 inches by 4 inches now.
But it's very common for a new construction home builder now to use 2x6. So, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, you just have to remember, like, some of these 1920s, 1930s, 1940s homes that you're walking through, they're the ones that survived. They're the ones that haven't been torn down yet. They were the ones that were well built. So you're looking at the cream of the crop of the well-built homes that were built back then. So you just have to remember that when you say they're not built like they used to be, you're not seeing the crappy ones that were built back then. So
I think a lot of them too, or a lot of that comes into like how many they build nowadays, obviously just to fit demand. But I think something to keep in mind with old homes too, especially the ones that are in good shape nowadays, surely they haven't just like existed. You know what I mean? Like, people have done work to them. Right?
Yeah.
They haven't just like sat there and no one's ever done anything to them. So like the original like builder grade, or like, that's been lost over the years. It's a matter of good home ownership and the water drainage systems. Like, none of those homes had French or drain tiles and sump pumps. Those are all modern things that every new home has, that is considered an old house.
Yeah, if you're looking at an older home that shows really well, it's normally just a compliment to the generations of homeowners that they've had. Like, to be totally honest, because like a lot of it is just properly maintaining your home and keeping up on projects and stuff like that. Because the more you do that,
Right.
the more the home's going to hold its value and everything like that. But I just think it's funny because, well, and then a lot of them, I'm not going to name builders right now, but a lot of them are saying that because they walk through the absolute cheapest of the cheap new builds that you see right now, and they're not impressed because that's
Yeah.
just not the market for them. That's not what they're looking for. There's plenty of good builders that we have in the area right now that build a home that I would be extremely happy to be in, So it's just something to think about. You guys have any other ones that come up a lot?
Well, along your same lines, I always think about like it'll be so weird when I'll probably be dead before this happens. But like when Isaiah is like old, that all these new neighborhoods will be like, ancient, like the east side of and the north side of Des Moines are. That just like blows my mind to kind of think about.
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah, and it's kind
what
it's,
will be of like Sherman Hills where the houses are 200 years old.
okay.
By that point.
Andrew just cut himself out. It's interesting to think about how some of those new neighborhoods will like mature too. Because like I think about where I live in Valley Junction, where the trees that we have here are 100 years old, and it's just weird to think about the new construction neighborhoods, those trees maturing. Them getting.
I don't think they'll be that's one thing. I don't think that they'll be as nice as like, your neighborhood will be with the trees. Cause like you drive around those new construction, even like the 6-7-year-old neighborhoods, all the one tree that they get in the front and the one tree that they get in the back, they're usually all dead. Like,
Yeah.
no one knows how to like actually water them and stuff, Like,
yeah.
Very rarely do you ever see like a healthy tree in like a 10-year-old development.
Well, you don't have, just because of how old Des Moines and the Des Moines area is, you don't have any neighborhoods like driving down Polk Boulevard anymore. Like none of the new development is doing stuff like that. So it is kind of interesting to think about.
The one that will fare the best in that would be like Prairie Trail someday.
Yeah.
I think will be a really, that'll be like the equivalent probably in 60 years.
That was all I had on the docket. Do you guys have any cool weekend plans? Whole lot of basketball, right?
I'm not as interested anymore now. I'll be watching a lot of them have already finished up their tournament, but a lot of small conference ball. I love that.
I just saw that Cooper Flagg possibly got hurt today too.
I think he's fine. He was back.
Is he fine?
Out on the bench.
If it makes you feel any better, Tyler, I think Notre Dame lost by over 20 points yesterday.
Well, you guys also played in a national championship in football. You can't have it all. And you might have the best women's player in the country, too.
Oh, it's for sure the best women's player in the country.
Well, I would probably say Juju Watkins.
I was going to say it's not Juju Watkins.
It's not Juju. No.
I would probably say Juju Watkins, but Hidalgo's up there for sure.
Hidalgo's nasty, that's for sure. They're both nasty.
But yeah, basketball, gonna try to watch as much basketball as I can. I don't really know what the weather's like, but hopefully show some houses to some people. I always like doing that on the weekends.
Message Tyler, message us if you guys want to go look at some houses. You doing any open houses?
Yeah, I need to talk to the Meadowlark sellers. I might do one there on Sunday. But I'm about to find out here in like 30 minutes.
Andrew, you got anything going on this weekend?
Well, I think our sister's coming to town this weekend.
Why did he just get muted?
Me?
No, Tyler.
That I forgot about that. That's a good thing for me though. I like when they come to town. I forgot about that. It's good.
Brady, you got anything going on this weekend? You go see Mickey 17?
I think so. I might have to make some arrangements for that, but I don't really have anything planned right now. Like you said, watch some basketball, watch Northwest, stomp on Valley, and that's about it.
Another great episode. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Go ahead and follow the page and follow us on any podcast app that you have available to you. Thank you for watching.
Hold on. Actually, before we go, anybody have actual predictions for the Valley Northwest game since we're not going to have Iowa State predictions for the weekend?
I have no idea. Valley. Valley's going to win.
I got Valley 64-60. Yeah, 64-60.
I was going to say 65-60 Northwest.
Andrew, what do you got?
I'm going to say 52-45 Valley.
Okay.
Low scoring affair. Bunch of football players playing basketball. Sounds like what it is.
Comment your predictions for the Valley Northwest game, and thank you guys for watching.